Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 21st day of October, 2019. Well, it's always fun when a Monday has catalytic energy for its numerology, right? You're just trying to recover from the weekend, and you have to go to work or something, or school or whatever, and maybe Monday's not the greatest day, and so the last thing you need is, energy that's trying to build on something. It's like, no, 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 it's a reluctant day. I don't want to go forth anywhere. But with Mars still in Libra in the 10th house, we have still some issues maybe at work we might need to be cautious about. We may want to control situations, but Mars is also in square with Saturn today, suggesting patience and self-discipline and maybe avoiding trying to control everything. So, given that it's a Monday, moods may be touchy a little bit. So someone's stepping in and trying to control things won't necessarily be received well. So we might think about that. Also, Mercury's in Scorpio. So is Libra, or not Libra, so is Venus. And so you're talking about emotional intensity there, so in communications and all of that and relationships with others. So we just want to be a little careful today how we come across and respect people's boundaries, and just sort of maybe, think a little bit before you start to tell everybody what to do. So anyhow. It's just one of those times. We're heading towards Scorpio, and so Scorpio is going to be influencing things. And Scorpio's an emotionally intense sign. So, it is what it is. So let's go ahead and get started and see what the cards have to say for today, and then we'll go on and pull a rune out of the rune bag from the Elder Futhark, and then we'll create a geomancy rune to finish things out. So let's go ahead and get started. Well, we start with the Five of Swords. I'll just show you that real quick. We're going to do 3 in a row here. I'm going to take the 13th card each time for randomness sake, and because I was born on the 13th, actually, October 13th. Well, there goes one on the floor. And that's the 10 of Cups, so keep that in mind. Some emotional fulfillment. And no, I'm not throwing away emotional fulfillment, so just because it fell on the floor. I view cards that fall on the floor or sail off somewhere as something we need to pay attention to and keep in the back of our minds. So, anyhow, let's do another card. Page of Wands. So we've got the air element with swords, a 5 energy with that. Change, something's changed. Page of Wands. Wands is the fire element. Pages are undeveloped potential. So, a 3 energy today, I guess. Even though we don't assign one to the court cards. We don't assign numbers to that. Well, here we have the 7 of Swords. So this could be thought of as leveling the playing field. Leveling the playing field. We just got back from our walk. I didn't notice too many chemtrails in the sky, but they're there. Having a little apple juice from my apple trees. Well, all right, let's go ahead and let's look at what we have so far. So 7 and 5 is 12, which of course, say it with me now, creates a 3 energy, aligning with today. Today's 3 energy. So as reluctant as we want to be, I guess we could say, we could also think in terms of mind, body, spirit alignment, if you're also talking about the 3, which is catalytic in and of itself to try to keep all of that in alignment. So I guess maybe we could start with that. And when we do that, the emphasis, of course, is on spirit. So we have that 3 energy then, and it's going to govern this. This is going to govern or provide the foundational numerology for the reading, the foundational energy. I think that I'm going to put the page at the end, though, because I think that whatever is happening here, I think they're together, the 5 and the 7. I mean, you're talking about, when you're talking about odd numbers, you're talking about 5 and then the 7, right? So there's a pattern right there between the two of those. So we're going to start with the 5. And what we're going to see here, we're going to see the sketchy brown clouds in the sky. You know, this is, again, the air element, so reason, intellect, communication. But something's gone awry here. There's 3 people there, again, today's 3 energy, not in a mind, body, spirit type of balance with one another. Instead, we have somebody who's picking up the spoils, basically, and look at the look on his face. He's pretty happy with himself. So he won the argument. The other guy there that's closest to him is his attention is on the other man by the water's edge, or close to the water's edge, who's holding his head. He's bereft. He's upset. He's dealing with his loss. If you look at the clothing between this guy, and this guy, it's almost like you've got polar opposites in a way. Look at how it's like, well, it's like light and dark, isn't it? Whereas the same kind of color scheme is just reversed on their clothing, right? So in a sense, you've got 2 people that are at odds with each other, and then you've got the third that was likely the target of the whole thing. In a way, it's very similar to the 3 of Swords. So we would go, you know, with the 3 of Swords and the 5 of Swords. So you've got the 3 of Swords is typically the one where it's a betrayal or a drama triangle or jealousy or something like that, but it denotes betrayal. Well, here we're moving on, and we're not getting much better, are we? But here we may be working out that betrayal. You can think of it that way. We're beginning to. It's beginning to define itself, maybe. So we can think about that 3 of Swords as implied. Maybe that was the beginning of something. And again, it's a 3, right? So it's the same 3 energy. But now, in a sense, you could say that the 5 and the 7 are really the definition of what's happening in the 3, and then the 7 would be some kind of decision that you've made about it. And here, we're bringing things back to balance because we're going to level the playing field. You've got soldiers in the background over here, or it could be people from the town. We don't know. It's just they're too small to really see. But we know that over here we have soldiers in the tent, and they've left their armaments out. They're not paying attention. They've taken the eye off the ball. They've gotten a little arrogant, perhaps. Perhaps that's reflective of this guy. A little bit arrogant. Assumes that they've won, but they haven't. And now this guy's going to come, and he's going to take a little bit from them, because perhaps they, the townspeople that they're that maybe that are under attack, they don't have the same level of security or armaments, or maybe not enough people. They don't have enough soldiers. They maybe don't have any soldiers. And so basically they're just trying to level the playing field and come to some kind of balance to gain some kind of strategy. So you can also look at that in terms of strategy. You can also look at, you gained another strategy to try to maybe take a different direction here. So I say the 7 is actually reflective of either this guy down here by the water or the 2 of them. And then we come to the Page of Wands. Now, pages are about new things. They're about undeveloped potential, messages. They could, depending on the rest of the cards, it could indicate maybe a pregnancy or a birth. You see the pyramids in the background again. Pages are often on grail quests like knights. They're the beginning stages of it. The knight is more the guy that's going to actually be out there on the grail quest, or out there the champion of the people or of the kingdom. But you're talking here, you know, a page is a student, it's a youthful person, a little bit younger than the knight. But in a sense, the genesis for the rest of the adult life begins with the page. So the page is about learning. It's about development of will, if you will, given this is the wands, and so you're talking fire element. So you're talking the development of will. Mars square Saturn may help the situation today with the, if you're going to control, you're going to do it in a very subtle way, I would think. And that's what he's doing here. He's very subtle about this. They don't see him coming. But he's going to level the playing field anyway. He's going to deal with the betrayal that happened here, in the imbalance of power that happened there. But I think that one of the things we can't ignore here is the alignment of that staff. That whatever he's going to do, you know, mind, body, spirit alignment is implied by the three pyramids. You see the three down there, right? Again, another three energy. When emotions are in flux, when you're dealing with something, in other words, when you're dealing with a situation that creates emotion in you, you're being emotional about it, responding emotionally, I should say. It's difficult because sometimes we get so caught up in it that we can't really see the true picture. Now, I bring up the emotions here because emotion is implied in all of this. Most specifically here, because you see the water in this picture. Rarely are these cards simply one element, although they are assigned to one element. They rarely embody only one, and so you can see here that emotion is at the heart of all of this. Fear could be at the heart of this. Trying to figure out a way to gain the upper hand because you know that if you don't, something awful is going to happen. You saw it right here. You can see how upset the gentleman is there at the water's edge. So this whole experience here was extremely upsetting, and that's emotion. That's the water element. The 5 and the 7 have a feeling of restriction, whereas the Page of Wands seems to open things up. And so I would interpret the Page of Wands really as being a new direction, will-wise, attention-wise, focus-wise. We're going to either resolve what's going on with this betrayal that we have and gain the upper hand and have some different strategies so that we can then feel like we can take command of the situation and move in a way that's protective and dynamic and in alignment with our purpose. So given that this is a Monday, this does feel personal. It could apply to what's going on in the world right now and the betrayal that people are feeling. And rightly so, you know. But I think that this is likely something that's happening in our personal lives. So we've experienced some betrayal, perhaps. We've had some difficulty with aligning our relationships with others. And someone has done something that's caused an issue and maybe gotten the upper hand. And now we have to figure out a way to, if not get the upper hand over the situation, at least get the upper hand over how we see it. You know, sometimes when you become so bereft, like the guy there by the water, you really can't get the kind of perspective you need. You can't take back your own sense of inner power. You may not change the situation, okay? This guy may still be, you know, the kind of, you know, bad guy that he is, right? Or at least insensitive person that he is. Because when I see this guy as being very insensitive. I mean, you win an argument maybe, but you don't have to gloat. You don't have to lord it over them. You don't have to make them feel bad about it. Just you won the argument. Let it be what it is. Here we have Ewaz, 13th rune of the Elder Futhark, and so we're talking a 4 energy. And this is about structure and foundation. So again, I'm also going to draw the rune out for you. See, that one's you're not gonna see that one. This one you will, though. Runes, as I've said before, are comprised by more than one rune oftentimes. Here we have Isa on both sides. There's Ewaz at the top. We have Isa on both sides. Yes, it's messy. But we also have Laguz, forward and reversed. Water element, flow. But here we flow together, don't we, in balance and in harmony with others. With Isa as, its basic side structure there, then what that's telling us is essentially that our balance is found in spirit. It's found in a spirit focus, where spirit is actually driving the moment and driving the choices that we make. This guy is not going and attacking anyone. He's just trying to change the dynamic a little bit. In this case, in terms of strategy, he just may decide to deal with this whole situation in the 5 completely differently than he's ever done before. He's not going to get into it. He's not going to remain in the pity party. He's going to take back his power. He's going to change direction, and he's going to go manifest something else. And in this case, I think it's like safety and security of the tribe, basically. I don't think it just has to do with himself. Ewaz is not simply a singular type of an experience. It's collective in nature. I'm going to look up something here, though, because I want to be sure that I don't forget something. Not the 13th rune, I'm sorry. It's Ewaz, the 19th rune. So definitely new beginnings, new way forward, not structure. That's I was, not Ewaz. It's like clean your glasses, girl, before you go on here and do these. Yeah, still, what with what or whom you should work. So, I mean, we're talking about energetic relationships here, and the ability to flow in harmony with others. Clearly, no harmony here. And maybe he's just accepted that. And maybe he's just decided to take a different direction, a different perspective. Maybe one that's a little more reasonable, one that's more strategic oriented, and one that maybe puts him in a better position with other people. Oh, here it was, here, pull toward you friendship. I thought that was just so powerful. That's the one that I was looking for. With Ewaz, you pull toward you friendship, okay? Basically, you're pulling together in the center with others. You're creating harmony with others. Laguz is another rune that you can use magically. You can envision it as like a hook or a net to draw back your energy to you. If you're empathic and you are doing some shielding, or you're finding your center and you're dissolving channels that you've created between other people and other experiences, maybe you just need to let all of that go for a little bit and come and find your alignment today. Ewaz is something that you can use to do that. It's also representative of the Merkaba, and so you can actually use it as a focus to maybe go within its structure and find peace and harmony. So you can use it that way as well. But regarding Laguz, forward and reversed, you can also use that energy to draw back all of your energy to a still point, and use that time to purify and cleanse. particularly if you view it in terms of the Merkaba. If you then envision yourself entering your own Merkaba state, envision yourself in the center of a Merkaba, and just allow yourself to resonate within that type of structure. It's basically the structure of the soul, and so you're right at home if you're there. So use that as a focus. Use Ewas if you like to do it as well. You also see Kenaz at the top, which is literally providing the vortex of spirit to inform the whole process. Let me show you that as well. That's how it's drawn there, messily, of course. And then this is how it's traditionally drawn. So you can see that if this is the light turned outward, the light of spirit focused outward, then here you have the, you can either see this as a vortex of spirit focusing into form and providing the information that we need to experience life from the standpoint of spirit, from the standpoint of source vision, because the choice is to do it from that standpoint or from the ego standpoint. And I think we all know that what happens when we have an ego focus, right? Things just don't work out for us very well, or they work out for us too well at the expense of other people. So it just doesn't, it's not a very aligned energy. It's one that's too volatile, basically. But you could essentially look at that, at Kenaz in that direction as spirit informing the whole thing. So our experiences, our choices, our perception in particular, because, it's from perception that everything else flows, right? We decide something is a certain way, we react to it based on that perception. Well, maybe we're wrong. I don't know. So, because, we never think we are, right? It's like, oh no, I see this correctly. Do you? Maybe not. Well, let's see what the geomancy rune has to say. We have a single dot, so an active principle or energy or influence for fire. Where is air? Here is air. Oh, well, okay. So I will just say we have a single dot for fire, 2 for water, or 2 for air, 2 for water, and 1 for earth. Now, that creates the geomancy rune Karser. And I will tell you that the geomancers of olden days said that Karser, Rubeus, and Cauda Draconis, if you draw that in a reading, usually when you're doing a geomancy reading, you're throwing these things 4 times and you're using them to create the first 4 positions on a field chart. And then from there, you use those to then create the rest of you're combining, well, anyway. You can go to the blog at Stepping Aside over at imsteppingaside.com. Go scroll back to the beginning of the month, and you'll see the geomancy reading for the month, and so you can see how that works. But anyway, what they would say is if the very first rune that you created was one of those 3, Karser, Cauda Draconis, and Rubeus, that you should just destroy everything, end the reading, destroy all of the stuff, burn it, whatever, because it was just too evil to continue. Well, I don't know about that. Sometimes I think that in trying to communicate all of this stuff with people, sometimes the ego takes over. And pretty soon we get so full of ourselves that it's like we create this drama where there really is just information, okay? And that's what I think those guys did back then. Because these weren't, well, they weren't women. They were guys. And so, I don't know. They all seem a little snowflakey to me, but whatever. This is Karser. Kind of looks like a little prison, doesn't it? Passive influence on air and intellect and reason, so not real strong there, right? A little indecisive. That alone can be imprisoning, can it? You can't make up your mind. emotions are also passive. And so, emotionally, you're kind of in flux and you're not really stable. So you can see how that kind of energy can leave you a little bit self-imprisoned. And I think that there was risk here with the guy there by the water, that he might actually do that to himself, that he might be so upset about what's going on here, experiencing such a loss that he lives in the loss instead of, says, okay, I had a moment here where things didn't work out and now I've got to go do something else. So he decided to not remain imprisoned, and he decided to do something about it, change his perspective, change how he sees this. Come into alignment with others and begin a new path, reflective by the flowing together in harmony with others that Ewaz provides, and the new beginnings as well. So I really think this is about taking today and allowing emotions to settle and being reflective. Mars, was it Mars in, no, it was Mercury and Scorpio also in the 12th house. Yes, that's where inner reflection may be required today, particularly if emotions are really in flux, if you're upset about something, if, again, we're assuming something here because the energy of the 5 and the 7 results in 3. And so we have to say, okay, where did that begin? And it may be that had we drawn a 4th card, we might have drawn the 3 of Swords, because it feels like a drama triangle's playing out, deception's happening, and we just don't really know, do we? And then here maybe we find out what that is and how it played out. We see the effect of it. We see what happened, how it manifested. But we're not going to stay there. We're going to go do something else. And so here's what we're doing. We're getting a different strategy. We're leveling the playing field. We're refusing to remain imprisoned in the carcer of it all, right? We're refusing to remain imprisoned in that. The 12th house is kind of a prison-y type of a feeling in a way. But it's not the kind of prison that you need to succumb to, all right? In other words, carcer may be a 12th house energy in that regard, but it doesn't have to be something that is restrictive. It could simply be something where you go within and try to, figure things out a little bit for yourself. So, well, okay, I guess that's it. Not too bad for a Monday. Anyway, check out the blog. There are things up on there. Again, that one, if you want to make that skin toner, it has got a lot of horsetail in it. It's got dandelion leaf. It's also got nettle leaf, and it's got oat straw. And all of these things are very soothing. They're very to the nervous system. Oat straw is very soothing to the nervous system. It's a nervous system herb, basically considered a nervous system herb. It's why oatmeal is comforting. Okay, it's why it's called comfort food. It's because it actually is. So. But what this does also, if you spray it on your skin, use it as an astringent or a toner, it builds collagen. So at my age, you start losing that. And so I thought that might be kind of fun to do. So anyway, check that out on the blog. And if you're interested in doing that, either in tincture form or the recipe's the same either way. I used dried herbs this time and just used some 80 proof vodka to do the tincture. And I used witch hazel to do the skin toner. So both of which, you're going to shake for 2 weeks and then strain it and, bottle it up and do what you do. Don't mix them up because you don't want to ingest the other, only the tincture. So anyhow, that's on the blog if you want to see that. Tincturing and making, skin stuff is the toners and astringents and liniments and stuff. Super easy, just super easy. And I use the simplest method, so I'm not weighing anything out. I'm just doing parts. It's super easy. So anyhow, more fun than buying it. So check that out if you want to. And otherwise, I'll see you here tomorrow. Thank you so much for coming by. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. And blessed be.